Bug-Out Survivor, and today I've unified the tarp with the hammock into one snakeskin. The snakeskin I'm using is a Hennessy XL. Now the XL is polyester and the normal large is nylon. Okay, I'm just using a stuff sack in it for 4 pegs. And this is my snakeskin, which contains both my 11-foot hammock and my 11-foot 8 jungle tarp on the ends, and both are identical. Hanker cord to tie the tarp to the tree. This will come into play a little later. So I'm just going to string, first of all, the snakeskin to 2 trees, just as I would a tarp. Should be pretty simple, this one. Okay, now I've come around the tree with the line here. This is coming back to the tarp end. And on this here, I've tied a loop here. This is tied onto the actual tarp itself. And coming through this, I adjust where I want this, somewhere there, and just put a quick hitch in. So this is the bow line, or bowline, on the end of the tarp. This section's gone around the tree. This is a section that's come back off the tree. I'm coming in through the bow line loop. If you want to call it a bowline, you can. I pull to adjust the tension at a D. Reach inside and pull the tail through, but not all the tail, just a loop. And it's quick release. Come to the single tail and pull that. It all comes undone. I'll quickly do this again. Letter D, pull the loop through. If I lay the snakeskin on the ground first, I can position it left to right and get it centered. Kind of like it eye level for my basher. I'm using 11-foot hammock and 11-foot 8 tarp. The tarp itself is by Sagasso, and the hammock is the 11-foot Hexon by Dutchware. Now these here are the actual webbing to hold the hammock up. I disconnect it from the end of the bowline loop here. I pull some line out and put that round the tree. And I've come between the lines here from the tarp with the actual carabiner and webbing. Now this is pretty quick when you set it up and you're not holding the camera and things like that. The next bit is just to pull the snakeskins back on themselves to reveal both the hammock and tarp in the same snakeskin. So I need to make a hitch in this here. So this is now free from the actual tarp itself. So I haven't even pegged it out or anything. That comes later. Disconnect from its temporary housing here and onto the tree webbing. Now I have to make my loop to hang the hammock on pretty close to the end. I've got to ensure that this section here, which is the continuous loop, is protected from the rain If this gets wet, the whole hammock gets wet. And I'm using the actual beaner like a drip stop. There, it's up. I've put a separate internal ridge line here, which is Dyneema 2.2 I think, and a little stuff sack on the line there to use as a gear store. So I just spotted a little mistake I've made. The webbing for the hammock has come over the top of the line for the tarp here. Well, lucky I noticed that. I've got to be careful on the next pitch. So I've unified a lot of the system there. That is hammock and tarp in one snake skin. It also includes all the suspension, I think 15 foot. I can now peg this out here, and what you'll notice when I took this out the snake skins, I didn't tie the lines up, I didn't coil them. In fact, it still has the slippery half hitch here intact, so I don't need to do anything with the lines. I can just adjust the size of the loop I'm going to peg out to. Again, I can adjust the loop. That's in. And if I come all the way up the top, guy rope, give this a pull. Now they stopped making this Sargasso quite a long time ago. 10th Wonder had them in their warehouse for a bit, and they just stopped making them, couldn't find them, and I found a very similar design of tarp, 11'8", but it's not very deep, so you will get the wind coming underneath you. It's a shame when companies make good kit and then they just stop, and I can only assume it was through financial losses or something like that, but I found another maker who has got hold of these, the patent for it, and is making it again, but not under the name Sargasso. Creaking up there. The front I've maintained in an open pitch. The issue I've had a couple of times, not with this particular setup but another, is the ingress of side wind blowing in the very ends here. But unless you have the trees which are, you know, apparent to the wind, then that kind of statement of saying, well, pitch it the other way is null and void. If the trees just aren't there, you can't do it. So I'm going to come back to this end here, and this particular tarp, instead of having it splayed out like that, what I'm going to do is Velcro all this down. So now I have a knife edge into the wind and the rain, and this line here is going directly 90 degrees into the ground, and stake this out. Just going to make my adjustment knot a lot smaller. And we're in a knife edge for the wind. I want this section here to wrap over like that, come back on an angle and stake somewhere down here, I think. So I have full wind and rain protection here, assuming of course the wind and the rain is coming in from this direction. In we go. Now I wish I'd have had this tarp and configuration with me a couple of nights ago, where I got absolutely drenched. I think the new colour this parent company is making of this tarp is black, but another competitor has taken over the actual making of it and taken over the patent design, and I'm pretty sure it has all the Velcro and is under 40 quid if memory serves. It's not going to be very good in high winds or excessive rain. It is a jungle tarp, which means it's designed to be splayed a lot wider than this. All this can be put straight back into its snakeskin when I'm finished. Doesn't offer much in the way of wind resistance because it is open to the elements at the bottom here, but it's not designed for that. I think this is how my next camp is going to be. I've added in my own adjustable tarp ridge line, not a hammock ridge line. You notice my hammock ridge line I've taken out and put a ridge line tarp in. I've got 11-foot 8 tarp and 11-foot hammock, 8 inches spare, which is 4 inches either side. It is tight. That is a tight measurement. That ridge line is a little high. I've put my ridge line on quick release slip knot so I can sag the ridge line. Okay, there is a wind blowing straight under this and chilling the bottom of the hammock, and in turn, of course, chilling your underquilt or your pad. There's where an underquilt protector would come in handy with a tarp like this. Like I said, it's only designed to keep a summer rain off. And what you do, instead of pitching it as I have here, you pitch it on a hell of a steep angle like that, and quite high up as well, so you would have the wind to cool you down. If I was going to use my DD 3x3 polyester tarp in cooler months, I would definitely go with my 8-foot hammock, and that's a really good mix. I've done it before where I can close doors at least on one end. I think we did it in the Big Freeze camp. We just closed off one end, and that was a 9-foot hammock. So packing away is really simple. It's the opposite of how we put it up. First, I disconnect the hammock from the tree webbing and put it on its temporary housing connected to the tarp. I can pull the tree line from the webbing in, unpeg, and I don't bother winding the cords up or anything like that. I just pull the sleeve to the snakeskin over the whole lot. Now it's time to pack all this up, and I'm not going to take you step by step with it. Instead, I'll just take the camera back. So really this is a convenience to me, keeping both together. I used to have 2 snake skins. I had a hammock in one and the tarp in the other, but now I just have everything into the extra large, or the double XL actually, yes. You can choose to put this into a stuffed sack, or you can do as I do most of the time, is just to loose fill this into a pack. Now if you haven't a pack to dedicate to this kind of system, get it in a stuff sack. And all this little stuff sack does is just to keep it a little neat. It doesn't actually do anything. It's a bit like putting a stuff sack in a stuff sack this. I don't always do it, but you know what people are like. The pegs I'm using are the MSR groundhogs. These two just go in, and I like to put mine into a flat rather than a cylinder. Squash it down nice and flat rather than making it into a cylinder. This way I can stack a lot better because I have very similar size stuff sacks. One will have my clothing in and so forth, and they stack on top of each other all the way up my pack. Even if you're not planning to stay out overnight and you're just on a day hike, something like this is ideal. Now then, make sure you have a pack that can accommodate a rolled snakeskin. And that tree, don't know if you can hear that. I really do like snakeskins. It's not as compact as their individual components, but just make sure you have that extra room allocated for that in your pack. Go up a pack size perhaps. There are lots of choices on the market now, and no two campers are the same. It's not a one size fits all world, and people do ask, why the hell have you got that bit of kit, why have you got that? And yet if there was no choice at all, it's same crybabies that would be bitching about that as well. That is no choice, just to have an easy setup. Put it in your considerations box. There is a link to this in the description box. You'll be able to get it a good £5 or £6 less than I got mine for if you use that link. So until next time, it's worth a consideration. It's one of my favourites. It's the way to go forward with me. Instead of stuff sacks or dry sacks, is snake skins. Till next time, take care, and I shall see you out there.